All right, welcome everybody. It is the Iron Father, and I'm going to walk you all through really what I do with clients, some of the discussions that we have, and we're going to follow the journey of one of my clients now. So go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, because while my main demographic are men over 50, I work with men and women, and in this case, I'm working with an athletic young man. Go ahead and introduce yourself, brother. Please give me your name, your age, and your weight for starters. This is like a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, name's Terrell. I'm 28 years old, and then weight is approximately 190 pounds.
All right.
6'1" as well. That helps.
Yeah, that definitely does help because if you was 5'3", 190, we'll be talking about something. So, man, thank you. Go ahead for being willing to take this journey, do it publicly because I know most folks are just scared to go ahead and do this. So, what overall we'll say is your main goal? Of course, I know, but if you had one or two guys that you're like, you know what, I think that's an attainable physique for me, who would that actually be?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably Stephen Curry, current Steph Curry, and maybe a Dwayne Wade to help out.
All right, all right. When you say a current Steph Curry, how was he before then?
Yeah, earlier in his career, he was a lot more lean, didn't have a lot of muscle mass per se. So, that was always talked about, or you could see that show up on the basketball court. But as he got into his 30s, he put on a lot more muscle mass, and it was evident as well how he was able to carry himself and, how he looked in general on the court.
Well, I know that's been kind of something that we've been working on a lot because you coming out of, get going into your 20s, you ended up being really lean, but then the goal was, okay, I need to put on some size. And I know we went through that thing of, all right, I got to put on some size. I have to eat more. But then you start feeling a little chubby when you eat a little more, and that's the trick that we all end up playing with each other. So I know now it's good because the main thing you're trying to come down. So what body weight would you like to come down to now?
Yeah, probably between 178, 182. I think that's probably a good range. 180 if you want to split the difference.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. 'Cause I think, I know now your abs are beginning to faintly come in. And have you ever been able to see a visible six pack? Let me ask that first.
I have not, unfortunately.
Woo, man, I don't want you waiting till you're 51 years old like me before you finally see it. So we're gonna try to get you there a lot sooner. That's the goal. And I know right now you kind of got that two pack beginning to faintly come in there. And you know me, I'd much rather you have that, especially the heavier, the better. But I would say right at about 180, that would be ideal and that would be perfect. Because so many people, I think guys sometimes actually get like women, they'll just be cool with the starvation plan and they are just fine getting super ripped and lean, but they don't really look like they work out. They just look like they're, haven't had a meal in I don't know how many months. So, I'm glad that you went on ahead. What was probably I'll let you answer. What was probably the top weight you got to?
Probably 197,
Yeah. How'd you feel getting that
197.
close to 200?
Yeah, I mean, at some points it felt good, and then other times, like 2 days later, I'm like, I don't really like 197. We gotta come down.
And
So
that's what we want. It's kind of like when you start really gaining, you get to that point where some days you like not having to be as strenuous on your diet, but then on the other end, it always helps you filling out the shirt sleeves as well. But then on the other end, your pants probably not fitting the same. You don't want to necessarily pull your shirt off. So yeah, thank you for taking the ride down. You 10 pounds down, and really we'll just might as well say 10 more pounds to go. So that works for me. Now, what's been one of the biggest challenges and struggles you've had with really working out at the gym and everything lately?
yeah, it might be just the consistency piece. A lot of it around just career I'm in. I'm in sales and IT industry, which technology, at one point was more of a commodity. Was hey, people have basic things around the house and such, but now everything we do centered around technology and how much it's going. And so servicing customers and working in B2B. it can be a lot, and especially with monthly quota to make sure I'm solving for. So with that inconsistency at times, with being able to go to the gym due to work, and the hours there, it can be challenging to make sure, hey, am I locked in for a full month or so to get the results I'm looking for.
Yeah, and so I know one of the things that we're going to talk about here as we begin is trying to fit in a workout. You said you really needed something that you can knock out in about 30 minutes. And if you had that, then it would be easier. You can go in, get out the gym, and then get back to whatever you have to do. And so that's what I went on ahead and put together for you now. So I already sent that over to you. So for the benefit of the audience, this is a good example. You need a workout that's going to be tailored specifically to your situation. A lot of people, they say, oh, I have time to work out. They think they do until their workload changes, until they have a life change. A lot of you, especially younger folks that may still, well, actually, I'm going to say older folks as well, because grandparents, they trying to work out, but then now they got grandkids being dropped off at their house. But a lot of times you have family obligations, other obligations as well. It's just hard to fit it in. So what I put together for him is a routine that's going to be full body at least 3 days a week. And really, it's just almost like one big, well, I won't say one big circuit training. We're going to break up the clusters because you're working out in a commercial gym, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that, personally, I hate when you walk around and you see people hogging up all of the machines and they have like 50 dumbbells all around their feet, and you're like, hey, are you done with those? Are you sitting on that? And they don't. Most people don't pull their weights off anyway, and that just anyway. So you don't even know whether you
Yeah.
can go ahead. Right, right. Can I jump in? What's going on here? So you don't want to hog up so many machines. So what we're going to do, we're going to be doing a 2 or 3 exercise circuit. Now, for some of you that may kind of remember this is why you need a trainer that's kind of old school, because I like to pull from a little bit of everybody. This is very similar to the escalated density training by Charles Staley that was really popular back in the 90s. This is where that type of routine, that program, that model can actually work out really, really well. And that's what we're going to do for him. So we have what really two, and you would say you might end up doing 3 cycles with 2 to 3 exercises. So what I've done, we're going to pair these up. So in this case, we're going to have something like a belt squat combined with another exercise. So I told him to wait. We're going to talk about this on the air. What was the challenge when I had the belt squat in there with some other exercises? What was the challenge that you were already going to run into?
Yeah, and the gym that I've been going to, Amp Fitness, the way that it's set up, is really the belt squat is maybe on the far side of the gym, other end. But then when we're talking maybe a Smith machine, well, that's on the opposite wall. And then if we're talking, where the power racks are, well, that's complete opposite side of the gym, right? So when I'm trying to go ahead and go through the circuit, it's like a big triangle and seeing how am I going to be able to get there. And while I'm here, is somebody coming over here, and especially with the limited amount of Smith machines that might be at the gym, you can definitely get clogged up pretty quickly.
Okay, okay. So I think one of the things that we can try is the belt squat machine in a location that's kind of away. I don't want to say away from everyone else, but is there enough room for you to take a couple of dumbbells over there?
Yes, it actually is. The bell squat is on the end
Okay.
of the aisle, and then the dumbbells are not too far from it. So yep.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So I think what we can do, because with this pairing, I'm looking for something that, again, we're going full body because you're not going to be going to the gym every day. And because of the load that you're going to use, it's not going to be quite as taxing to your system. So I think let's have the belt squat in there as the first exercise you do. Then the next exercise that you can go over, take a couple of dumbbells with you. And with those, then I want you to do a standing overhead press. Now, you can do them one arm at a time. You can do both arms at a time, standing up, just right there next to the belt squat. And
Mhm.
then after you do that, then go ahead and go into an RDL or stiff leg deadlifts. We just call it RDL for Romanian deadlift for the ease of it. And because I think depending on the weight, you're going to probably be pretty blown out. So you may end up, let's probably go with the shoulders. Yeah, let's go with the shoulders second, and then go with the RDLs third. So That way, really, you're starting with a hip dominant movement that's primarily working your glutes, quads with the belt squat. Then you're going to go into working your delts with the shoulder press. And then you're just going to now focus back on the glutes and the hamstrings with the RDL. And we can play around with that a number of ways. You could also even pair it up going belt squat. Then you could take two dumbbells and do a biceps curl. And then you can drop down and do push ups. And those are your three right there. And really, we're not necessarily worried too much about our typical, 8 to 12 rep range, hypertrophy, muscle growth. We're trying to get the best amount of work in that short amount of time. How does that sound so far? If that pairing was put together, how would that work for you?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool. So, all right, here's the rep scheme. Here's the set and reps. You're only going to be doing it for about 10 minutes, anywhere from 10 to 8 minutes, depending on the time that you have. So once you set it up, and the first week is going to be the hardest while you set everything up because you're going to have to figure out how to get all this done. I want you to look back at your log because I know you are the man with keeping your log and keeping your journals and records. So I love that. So I want you to look at what your normal weight is. I mean, I know normally we don't go up to 20 reps on a lot of exercises, especially something like the belt squat. But let's take what you normally could do for 15 reps. I want you to take that, but only do 6 reps with it. So for every exercise, look at something that you would do for 15 to 20 reps and you're only going to use the weight that weight, but you're going to only do 6 reps. So belt squat 6 reps, shoulder press 6 reps, and we'll just say push-ups for 6 reps. And you're going to repeat that nonstop for 10 minutes. Then you get your break, and your break would be putting everything back. Probably be a little bit like a farmer's walk, having to go put the dumbbells back. And then you'll go to the next circuit, the next two or three together. Again, this is totally up to you because every gym has a different layout depending on when you go during the day, what's the crowd going to be like. So I want you to feel definitely flexible enough to just know, I mean, you are very good at already knowing your chest exercises back, arms, because that's the main thing. I never want anybody to just be completely like, I don't know what to do when I get to the gym. I'm huge on the educational side. So you already know the exercise that you can pull from. Now it's just having that toolkit that we've built. Just pull that X. Oh, I can use this one on this to work my hamstrings. Oh, I can use this one to work my buys. Now I can pull this one out to go ahead and work my quads. And now once you get an idea how you want the layout to be done in the gym, then take those, do that circuit, 10 minutes. Then you could do another circuit of 10 minutes. That puts us at 20 minutes. And then we have about a 3-minute warm up, which is really just going to be some hip mobility and things that we're working on. And then now we're at 23 minutes. And then that gives you another really 7 to 5 minutes to get out of the gym and be done. If you want to do a little bit more, a little bit more hip work, if you want to go over and just knock out maybe something, some incline sit ups, or you want to do a pal off, you can do that. Whatever you want to do in that last, we'll just call it a cool down period. It won't be a traditional circuit. You can go ahead and do that in the time that you have left. Then you going and out. How does that sound?
Sound good to me.
Good, good, good. I'm excited to see how this is going to go because I think one of the biggest challenges, of course, in your schedule, you're sitting down all the time, aren't you?
Typically, yeah. Even though I have a sit stand desk when I'm really locking in, yeah, I'm sitting.
Yep, yep. So I think that's why it's good that even when time is crunched, you're not just sitting down. So this is going to get
Mhm.
you moving. I think when we have another check-in next week, now that you know how you need to pair all this up, we'll probably start throwing in a lot more, again, some more movements for your hips, but also things and really getting your hip flexors stretched out because sitting like I'm doing now, your hip flexors are constantly contracted. So we want to be able to stretch those out. But that'll be a cliffhanger for next week. So in the meantime, I want y'all to follow us. My man has been kind enough to go ahead and let me chronicle his journey with this. It puts a little pressure on you too, man. I appreciate you doing it, brother. Appreciate you doing it. Last thing on the caloric side. Um, I know I said probably the best thing is 170 grams of protein. That's going to be the main thing we're going to try to hit. I'm going to still recommend that let's go ahead and use this as a mini cut time. I mean, you are trying to drop almost 10 pounds or 10 pounds. So let's use this over the next 4 to 6 weeks as that mini cut time. We're going to drop your calories while you're doing this, especially on days that you know you aren't going to be moving. So if you're not going to be moving that much, you look at that step count and it's like, oh man, I only got 2,000 steps today. And it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, what? You have a true confessing moment?
To 2,300 at 451.
See, I do be paying attention to those log books. So, all right. So this is a perfect example. So on those days, this would be a good day to bring those cows down because if you aren't moving that much, then we shouldn't be so worried about keeping those cows up because it's just going to make this struggle even harder just for simplicity's sake. So on your low step days, drop the cows down. Let's get down to about 1,600, and then on your higher days, let's go ahead and bump those up to about 1,900. And obviously, we got some wiggle room in there, but the main thing I want you to focus on hitting right now is at 170 grams of protein. So let that be the main guide, and we'll let everything else fit in because we're not going to worry too much right now about tweaking your carbohydrate intake side.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right, man. So lastly, what's the long-term goal on the hoop side? I mean, upper 20s now. You still got ambitions of the NBA, or I mean,
Oh,
how important is mobility and jumping around and moving around now for you?
ultimately, especially once the season is in and going and things like that, I'm like, man, I want to get out there and hoop and things like that. So as long as I'm able to go ahead and not become, stiff guy, I can do everything, but everything I do is kind of like a robot. I want to be able to make sure I'm still fluid enough to do those things, or if I wanted to do flag football, or if I want to just do different things that would involve me to be agile, I want to make sure I still have that.
Cool, cool, perfect. I asked that to set you up for the next cycle just in case. So here's a one little piece of homework I want to give you there from this conversation, and we'll end here. At some of your gyms, are there any areas that you could do maybe some agility drills? I know at EOS they have those spots where they have the turf where you got the sled push or pull. You have some areas that you could even move around. I think in some of them they have an outside area, at least they do in Arizona. Or do you have those areas where you could play around with some of those agility type of drills if we put those in?
Yeah, at the gym that I'm at, they typically have the turf area. So yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Duly noted. All right, man. Thank you very much, sir. This is check in. We'll call it number one. This is the intro, man. Thanks for introducing yourself. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. If you want more, and if you want to be also a client with Iron Father, again, men and women. I mean, I mean, me and my nephew, we do talk about relationship stuff, but I'm just saying. But in general, of course, this is what it's all about. Don't delay getting started. The new year is about to come up upon us in a few short months. And don't wait until you figure you put on another 10 pounds and then you're going to call yourself getting started because it's going to be that much harder. Do like he's doing. Start coming down now. That way you roll into the holiday season instead of literally you roll into it with momentum. So, all right, y'all, until next time, subscribe for his next update and we'll holler at y'all later. Peace.